الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. My dear respected brothers, elders, listeners, once again you've joined us for the Q&A. We'll start with this week's questions. Question number 1. If the woman does khula without the husband's knowledge, is the khula valid? Also, if a husband and wife do not speak for a number of years but there was no talaq, is their marriage still valid? As I've heard that if a husband and wife don't speak for 3 months, their marriage becomes invalid. Is this true? So 2 questions in one question that they've asked. Number 1 is regarding khula. What does khula mean? First, we need to understand. So a wife that demands to end and terminate the marriage in a situation where she will either is willing to give some money to her husband, or if the husband is not divorcing her and she would like to end and terminate this nikah, this marriage, which could be a number of reasons. One of them could be her huquq and rights are not fulfilled, and because of this she wants to end the nikah. And sometimes it happens without any reason. So just as for the nikah to be valid, there are 2 things. One is ijab, propose, and the second is qabul, to accept. Then the nikah will be done in front of 2 witnesses that are present. And to come out of nikah, there's talaq, divorce. If the wife has asked for a divorce to her husband, and the husband does not divorce her, he's not willing to divorce and end this nikah, because that is the only way the nikah will terminate. And if she feels and she has a genuine reason to terminate this nikah, then now she would go to the qadi, the judge, the Sharia council. And in Dewsbury, Bradford, there's many places throughout the UK where they have the Sharia council, where they provide this service, where they would listen to what the wife has to say, and then they would write to the husband a number of times to get a response of why and what is happening, to try and solve the matter. If not, and the husband is still refusing, then the qadi, the judge, now will have the right and can end this nikah. So this is a process. But for no reason just going and doing this, then this is not correct. The second part of the question, if husband and wife do not speak for years, as I mentioned, to come out of nikah is talaq, and to enter is propose and accept. So even if they do not speak, or if they don't speak for 3 months, you might find many that have not spoke to the wife for months, does that the nikah will not terminate or end, it will only end with talaq. And if it's a situation where the husband is not giving the talaq, then she will go to a Sharia council, and they will, after investigating, make arrangements. Number 2, can we pray behind the imam with the intention of a different salah? For example, if someone intends to perform Taraweeh salah late, and the congregation has prayed Isha, but the individual reaches when the congregation is praying Taraweeh, can the individual pray with the imam with the intention of praying his Isha salah, even though the imam is praying Taraweeh? If the imam is praying a fard prayer, then the muqtadi behind him will have to make intention for the same fard prayer. It cannot be that the imam is reading something which is optional and the muqtadi behind has made intention for this fard. So this is not allowed according to the Hanafi fiqh. There is some difference of opinion with the other fiqh. Question number 3, what is the best method to memorize the Quran? Very good question. The secret to memorize the Quran is time, commitment, dedication, love for the Quran, spending time with the Quran, reading the Quran, revising again and again. Students that memorize the Quran in a typical big madrasa organization, they would read typically 6 to 8 hours a day. Just as people would work 8 hours a day, they will read Quran 6 to 8 hours a day. And then after a number of years, they will complete the Quran. Then you have those that further study qira'ah. Whether you've heard any Egyptians or any Qari in the world that recites the Quran correctly, they have repeated these verses hundreds and thousands of times and practiced a lot. So it's time, dedication, commitment. If someone is willing to do that, then they take this step. It's a commitment. And start off with the famous long surah, Surah Yasin, Surah Alif Lam Mim Sajda, first 10 verses of Surah Al-Kahf, last 10 verses of Surah Al-Kahf, and Surah Rahman, Surah Waqi'ah. These surahs are surahs which every Muslim should know, attempt and try and learn them, memorize them. Some of the Quran we can decide, if we cannot memorize all, we should have memorized some of the Quran, part of the Quran. That should be in as may Allah give us the ability. Question number 4. Can you ask a potential person that you are about to marry about their past, and do they have to answer to the questions if it means that they are revealing their sins? It's not very wise to speak about the past. You're potentially looking to marry someone. And if they have committed some sins in the past which will not affect your marriage, then such things should not be discussed. But if it's something that will affect your marriage, someone, a person may have been married before, they've had children, and it's something that can... But if it's sins that there's no attachments to it, what will happen with this, if it is discussed, then it creates shubuhat, doubts in one another, then there's trust issues, and the matter just goes on and on. Anything that will not affect the spouse is better. Do not discuss this about the past. We only dig in our own grave, discuss. So such things, sins, should not be discussed. If Allah has kept it hidden for you, then it's best. But if it's something that you feel that if you have not mentioned and can come out and potentially likely is to come out and affect your marriage, then maybe it's better to discuss. You have to think wisely. Question number 5. Do you have to thoroughly wash your hair to get out the state of janaba? Yes, you will have to wash to make sure the water reaches every hair must be wet. If it's not wet, then the ghusl will not be done. So every hair must be wet. And this can be achieved by scrubbing and repeating and making sure every hair, because under every hair is janaba, so every hair on the body must be wet. Question number 5. What are the opinions on halal mortgage from likes of Ar-Rayyan Bank, as there are many difference of opinions? Seems like he studied this because he knows there's many difference of opinions. There are some difference. You may find some scholars that agree with Ar-Rayyan principles and think that it seems is fine for Islamic mortgage. And they go with the opinion that it's better than going for a haram mortgage. It's not the ideal situation, but it's better. And you will have some that could be very strict, that they will not even accept the terms of the Islamic mortgage of Ar-Rayyan. I'm not sure if Ar-Rayyan still, I think they have stopped. There is other alternatives. So a person has to look at their situation, assess themselves. There are some scholars that have said it's fine, it's better than going for a normal mortgage. On the other hand, some totally disagree with it. So a person assess their own situation, and if they decide to go by with one opinion, then they can go by with that. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the ability to understand, to spread it unto others. Ameen. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.